Good evening and welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. Tonight we have Stevie D is back on again. We're talking about the awesome Hellbound album. How you doing, man?
Very good, very well. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How's it going with this? The press. I mean, you've got a lot going on. You've got the So Hot video, a lot of raves. You guys
Yeah,
are on Instagram, Facebook. You guys just do track by track.
yeah, yeah. I mean, well, it's the big push. We have a new lease on life with Roundhill Music and Earache in Europe,
Mhm.
and everyone has stepped up to the plate, and everyone's knocking it out of the park right now. So what we've done so far is we've already filmed three videos for the first three singles.
Yeah.
So the first one is So Hot. The next one up will be Hellbound, and after that is Aint Wasting No More Time. So which you've already heard, but the album isn't out yet at this point.
Right.
Uh, the first one just dropped, So Hot, and in the first few days there was a lot of hits on that. It's streaming well. Pre-orders are going well. We sold out of our first run of vinyl, so no complaints. Our manager Larry Mazer, um, yeah, he had a lot of time on his hands during 2020, and as soon as all the mandates and restrictions started lifting, he went to work, and we're seeing all of it now.
It feels like it's a different machine right now. It's
Yeah,
great.
the music's different, the band's different, so um, we're happy with what's happening. Not that we weren't before, but it's everything's feels a lot better right now. You
It's
know.
good to change things up, and get some fresh blood, and it's just a good time. There's a lot of good things pointing. It's the perfect storm, really.
Yeah. Tell
I
me,
think so.
tell me the perfect storm.
Well,
What
the
three
perfect
elements are needed for the perfect storm?
your album, which is the
Yeah.
top. You got the
Yeah.
management. Everyone's and well, your management's behind you. The
Yeah.
people are behind you.
Yeah.
Social media is just rocking right now,
Yeah.
and everyone wants a live concert. And you
Yeah.
guys are a rock and roll band, not a top
Yeah.
40 band. Rock and roll.
We were really lucky, quite fortunate to have built a great touring business, and at some point, I think around 2015, it was really strained, and we had to take a year off at some point. I think it was 2017, but it was put to us like take some time off, and we did. And when we came back, we had to wait about 6 months, and some of us didn't want to come back, and so here we are now.
Which is what led to the lineup change. I think, how many times have you heard, if the only the management had told us to take some time off, we'd still be a band.
Well,
So the fact that you guys did that, you're still a band.
I think the business was changing. Music environment for rock was changing out there this whole time. It's been changing for 10 years, and it's how do you stay on top of things so you have work and you can still make money. And how do you create? Still create the demand, and it's a balancing act, and it's not easy. So um, so far we've been able to do it. The Buckcherry's been around for 20 years, and you know right now we just heard about a bunch of successes that we've had and didn't even know about through 2020, in the beginning of 2021. We'll do the big reveal later, but
Okay.
yeah, things are great. So
Okay.
we're happy.
So I actually got, while we're talking, I got a couple questions that just actually came to mind. So being a rock band, and you guys are not, like a legacy rock band from the 80s and 90s, and they got their a lot of M3s and a lot of concerts like that.
Hmm.
So for touring, where do you guys kind of fit in? Because you have the same fan base, pretty much.
Uh huh.
can you guys kind of blend in between some shows and some of the bands and tour? You know what I'm saying? Like pick up dates and stuff. Has that ever been through the years a thing?
No, Josh puts it like this: we're kind of this island of music that's in a sea of different music than us,
Hmm.
and but not so different that we can't play with different artists. We can play with maybe more heritage rock bands like Aerosmith or Motley Crue, and then still play with music that's just been released in the last 5, 10 years.
Right.
So um, I don't think that we've ever had problems getting on certain bills. The only thing that I think is been kind of different for us is when there's festivals and it's usually active rock, and what they're trying to do is, I get it, they're trying to keep the genre of music or those same bands that are on the radio in your town, whatever town it is, active rock bands, and kind of lump them all together. It's usually about 10, 15 bands maybe.
Hmm.
It's usually what's happening right now in active rock. But other than that, I think we do just fine. We've played after the heaviest bands, or completely different, electronic bands or hip hop bands or whatever. So as long as our fans show up, or we end up winning over new fans. So
Well, that was actually my question because of different types of bands, their heritage or legacy. Because you guys, your music bleeds over to a lot of different genres.
well, I think it's just at the core of it, it's rock and roll. You know,
I agree.
so
I agree. But labeling and stuff. So I think it's cool. I think you phrased it perfectly. A couple of questions have come up while we're talking about vinyl. First
yes,
off, we got more runs of vinyl coming. I haven't even had a chance to order it yet.
yeah. It went fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's out now. They're offering. I think they. I don't know, but I think they had red, yellow, orange, and something else, and then
Isn't
they.
that just for everywhere but the U.S.? Isn't just for like England and
Yeah,
Australia
you're
only?
right. In Europe, I think for the U.S. they did like a smoke-colored vinyl,
Hmm.
uh, and that's available now. But don't quote me on that. But you know what? Just go to buckcherry.com, and all your information is there.
Yeah. Last time I think that was gone, but it may have changed again. I know you guys have been running out of vinyl. How come they did it different markets like that? Because I know some people. I've heard people complain like, how come I can't get the colored vinyl in U.S.?
I know it's different labels. So, um,
There
you
you go.
to ask, let's say, Roundhill here in the States, if enough people ask Roundhill to release, a blue vinyl,
Hmm.
you know, Buckcherry album, they'll release it, But I
Well,
think,
that's
I
good.
think it's just, uh, Earache was just proactive, and that's what they, wanted to do. They released a lot of vinyl for a lot of different bands.
Hmm.
Um, So that's what works for them over there, you know. And for Japan on our CD over there, we released. They asked for, the U.S. label usually asks for 10 songs, and Japan usually asks for 12. You know what I mean? So what we do is we give them a couple others that the U.S. doesn't get.
Because the internet, you can download it anyhow, so it's not like you can't get those extra songs.
You can download it. I'm sure that it's on YouTube somewhere. I don't think you can download it, let's say, on iTunes, but you can definitely
Right.
buy. Like when I was a kid, you go to the record store and go to
Right.
the import section, buy a Thin Lizzy album, and it's a different album than the U.S.
Hmm.
Release, and which is cool, So you can always go buy uh, the import from Japan if you want those extra songs.
Right. Which is cool. So that's a question. So anybody's listening, it's different labels. It's
Mm-hmm.
not Buckcherry picking one
They're
over the
different
other.
labels. It's the same band, but it's a different. There might be slightly packaging differences, and well, just like the color of vinyl or whatever. But I think the CD is the same. It's so weird. It's because no one sells the hard copy anymore. It's all streaming now.
Right.
But it seems that there's been this surge or resurgence or
Yeah.
whatever we want to call it of um, that medium. CDs and vinyl. So that's awesome. Love it.
It's really good. There's got to be some numbers that are going to say like, there's got to be some kind of record that this is your vinyl selling. It's like this. It's got to be one of the first big ones like this coming out.
Yeah, I think we're already compared to our last three albums, and the album's not out yet. As far as pre-orders, I think we've already surpassed our first week of sales with any of the other albums.
Well, congratulations. So the next video coming out is Hellbound.
It's Hellbound.
Are you having a time limit between them? Or are you just gonna like let the single go?
Every 30 days and once a month. It's gonna
wow.
be So Hott, then Hellbound. I believe the release of the record will happen, and then a real treat for you is a song called Aint Wasting No More Time. And we shot the last two videos in Las Vegas with a guy named Curtis, Castor Troy, Level 8 Studios in Las Vegas. So if you need to make a video, look him up. But super talented human being, super nice guy. And the Hellbound video is a performance video, just in this huge warehouse in the middle of the desert. The other one is in Deadwood Canyon. I think it's called Deadwood Canyon, something like that. Anyway, it was this ghost town, and it used to be a mining town. And there's rumors that aliens, have burrowed and lived underneath this place, but they don't. But they've brought in all these, like, I don't know. There's several movies have been filmed there, but there's like abandoned cars, abandoned trucks, abandoned airplanes. The old mine shaft is still there. You got to be careful around that so you don't fall like a mile into the center of the earth. But yeah, it was a great experience. We filmed one day, and the next day they filmed cirque dancers or the cirque.
Search a sleigh.
Yeah, so out in the middle of this ghost town, and the scenes that I saw, the scenery is stunning. So we're really happy with it.
I'm excited, and I love that song. You know that from the very beginning. I'm like, that's
Yeah, I mean
one of my
that
faves.
song really showcases kind of the growth of Buckcherry as songwriters and maybe human beings. It's definitely an older band that's been around the block a few times.
It's a new flavor, I think. It's like they get another color for your palette. I like it. It fits. It's not way out there, but it's nice.
What's that?
I said it fits, but it's nice. It's not way out there. Like, what the hell is it?
No, it's a straight up rock and roll song.
Right. It's a different flavor for you guys, though. You can tell there's a little change in it. It's nice.
If we live around 130 BPM and it kind of that Buckcherry AC/DC kind of Aerosmithy thing, this one's more on the tip of, let's say, Neil Young and Tom Petty. You know what I mean? Lives over in that kind of.
And it fits. Oh, you guys really. You have the guitar sound, the guitar attack now that works well together.
Yeah.
For that.
Me and Billy and Marti Fredrickson plays quite a bit on this album too. And Evan, his son, Evan Fredrickson, is on this album a lot too. I think between the four of us, we just got a lot of different points of the spectrum. You know what I mean? And there's not a lot of different amps, but there's just different hands on the instruments, so you're just going to get different sounds, different feel, different attack, and it's all good,
Yeah, and I think for people that don't know, who haven't been following this with us, so Marti Fredrickson is also, would you say, the sixth member pretty much of Aerosmith at this point, or
so
you will feel. That's where I go back. Has the kind of the little old Aerosmith flavor.
Yeah.
Added to it, the touch.
for this song, I do have to mention Scott Stevens, lend a helping hand for that. He used to be in a band called the X's, and he was the one that kind of started the song. Marty came in and was like, "Hey man, I got this song you might want to check out." And then we kind of reverse engineered it and then pulled it apart, and then me and Marty kind of put it back together.
Mhm.
Um, and then I also want to mention a friend of yours, uh, Anthony Focx. He ended up mastering this whole album, and he's been in and out of the Buckcherry world. I think all the way back to Black Butterfly. But
Wow.
shout out to him. Love your work. Even though we haven't been in the same room probably in 20 years or maybe more.
Really.
But
The album, he did a good job mastering and mixing it. So and that
yeah,
album, he did
like
it great. It's
and it wasn't an easy task because we went back and forth on that several times because I wanted it pushed a little hard. I mean, here's the nerd talk, but I wanted it pushed a little harder,
Mhm.
and someone else uh, liked it the way it was, and I just kept trying to push the envelope. How about this version? And then I go back to Anthony and was like, no, he didn't like it, so he'd push it to here, and then he wouldn't like it. So then I'd ask him again, So between Marty and Anthony, it finally crossed the finish line, where everyone was happy.
it sounds. I mean, the best part is it sounds fantastic. It's got some nice headphones. That's where it
Yeah,
sounds best.
I think so too. When I hear it back in the car, I'm like, yeah, like I know I wanted a certain outcome, but it was. I'm glad that no, everyone was like, just chill out.
It's hard though to mix for a car because not everybody has that killer speaker system. So it's always going to be a weird.
And that's I think for the majority of the people that listen, they're listening on earbuds
Mhm.
or car speakers. And if they want to hear it pushed, all they have to do is turn it up. If they like the music, they're turning it up anyway. So, um, yeah, I just had to accept that. Excuse me.
No, no, no. I hear that. I hear that. Well, that's one of my the litmus tests for albums. I listen to them everywhere, doing a lot of different things. So when I got this album, I'm listening to it, doing different things.
Yeah,
And the
like
headphones is the final because you can hear a
yeah,
great mix in really good headphones.
yeah. I mean, yeah, but and I think the only ones really listening to uh, mixes on headphones or enjoying music on headphones are the audiophiles.
A dork like me.
Like I said, most people are listening to like $20 earbuds, and so it's funny when I mix here or we get a mix back from let's say Marty or a mastering from Anthony. I listen in here, and then I go out to my car, and
Hmm.
then I have to get my earbuds out to just make sure that the final is good on all of them. You know what I
Which
mean?
has got to be insane doing that to make sure it sounds good on all of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's got to be a pain.
It's
Well, I'm
like
just adding to the people there that really love being nerds about it. You crank it up in your headset. It
yeah,
delivers just as good as everything else. I mean,
yeah,
so it's super great.
yeah,
I want to get back to one other question because I was getting other people ask me the questions. Back to like on the vinyl. You guys did some signing. This is kind of a two-part thing.
yeah.
Are you guys gonna do any more special stuff like signing things either to go in the records or people want stuff signed at the show instead?
You know,
How are we gonna do that?
it's funny. The ones that want that stuff the most is everywhere outside of the states. So Europe always loves that stuff. Japan really loves that stuff. And in the states, we don't get. I think what what they want more. The demand is more at the live show. They want to have meet and greets. You know what I mean? The VIP experience. So what we do is we reserve. We have a bunch of cards or inserts that we'll be bringing to the shows. We even we sign anything, you know what I mean? But at the meet and greets. But I think what they do in the packaging overseas is they add that little 5x7 card
Mhm.
uh, with the band is signed. We
that you guys are doing?
at the we at every like video shoot. We even did a show. We would have to. There was no time to just chill out. On when they were in between takes or just before the show or during dinner time, we were signing thousands of
How many do you think you guys did total?
Oh man. I just know it's thousands. I remember there was just boxes and boxes, and it was just frustrating. But yeah, at the same point, like 20 years ago, no one wanted our picture. 20 years ago, no one wanted a signed card from us. So I'm grateful. At the end of the day, that if they want this stuff and they get the, like, because when I was a kid, I would look at the album. We had albums, and I would look at every nuance of
Hmm.
what it meant or what it could mean, and if I saw a signature from somebody, I'd be entranced with that. Uh, I don't know. If somebody's interested in having that stuff, I'm grateful. You know what I mean? It's just part of the
Well, I
share.
think it's a good it's a good meet in the middle for some people because it's different age groups. And like you, we talked about before, like the albums were the best thing. You'd look like I would be, oh, Stevie D played this guitar and there was slide on this, or oh, Marti Fredrickson produced the album. I was the guy reading all the credits too, and
Sure,
I
sure.
still do.
I would read thank yous. You know what I mean? Like, on the Guns N' Roses album, I'd be like, "Ooh, whoa, look at
Yeah,
that."
I stopped at the catering. That's where I drew the line.
What's that?
I stopped at catering. Who did the catering? That's where I drew my line.
Yeah, yeah,
Part of the problem is I think a lot of people to be like, well, we want this in a certain market, and the demand is not always going to be there for you to get it. Like
right.
sign things in the US. There might be a handful that want it, but not the numbers to justify
Exactly. Well, that's
marketing.
exactly it. Not the numbers that justify making a large run of this stuff.
Mhm.
There's always stuff that there's eBayers that always show up at shows and they stand by the backstage gates and all that, and they have pictures or drum heads or um, I don't know, you name it. And if we
Right. I'm just saying this. It's kind of obvious to us, and I'm aware of it, but I don't think everyone's aware of how the machine works as far as like, well, why don't we get it here? So
yeah
just bring it out. People go, hey, this is because sometimes it's demand, sometimes it's the market. Now we know it's two different record, labels are doing things.
yeah
It's there's a lot of different hand pie right now for you guys to keep this
yeah.
machine going.
There's a lot of people helping, and it's the demand. Like in Earache is creative. They're like they're into selling the music and the whole experience and the cards, the signed cards. We're also doing a lot of social media. We've done uh, already 10 times the amount of social media than we've ever done for any other. You know, and the funny thing is we're not even going to radio with this stuff, and we're seeing this kind of movement. You know, before the process is you get everything, you get your tour in place, and then you start promoting it on the radio or whatever, and you go straight to radio with a single and see how it reacts. Now the way of the world is like, you know what, we don't need fucking radio, and we just went on a social media kind of.
Radio was like a gatekeeper, I think, for you
Well,
guys.
I mean, I think it was for everybody, but our manager was just like we don't like right now active rock is for active rock bands, and they really don't play anyone else. So what's the point? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? We're seeing as much, or we're seeing more success with the social media route. So yeah, and now we're getting calls from radio. We want to play the song, and it's but we're still not servicing radio. So,
That's
but
pretty funny.
I'm not on that side. I just want to play my guitar.
I know, but these are some questions that people ask, and this is a good time to pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So now you guys have a bazillion albums, and actually, so let's say this. So I got the question before we go back. Someone fronted this question to me, and I've said this album is as good as, because everyone has favorite albums, personally things, but I'm saying stands up, maybe popularity or commercial wise. I don't know how I'd stack it. As the first one and 15 are the people's personal loves. I put this one up there with it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel, where do you feel it falls with them?
I
I know
mean,
it's your new album, but
look, they're all different. They have different music. They
yeah.
have different players. They have different producers, made in different studios, made with different guitars. It's like comparing apples and oranges. You know what I mean? I don't know how you can really do that in a fair kind of way. Like the environment now is music used to sell back then, and music doesn't sell now. It's all streamed now. So I don't know how you compare the two, but I get why people do that. You know what I mean? I get it, and they're gonna do that. So let them. All I know is that we set out to make some music. We were writing all last year, and instead of saying, well, this is the kind of album that we want, and this is
Mm-hmm.
what we're gonna write, and we're gonna, and instead, like the Kiss of Death is trying to chase something or make a what all we wanted to do is make a great album filled with great songs. You know what I mean? Whatever that took, and we took our time with it. We got together with Marty, and he was on the same page, and what we did is we had over 25 songs, and we picked a group of songs that were all cohesive and consistent with each other, and they're all happen to be rock and roll songs. So that's where we landed. If it how it compares, you can't compare that sonically. It sounds different than 15 or Confessions,
Oh yeah.
you know, All Night Long, and they all sound different. They all, I mean, there are similar. There is a signature Buckcherry sound at right around 130 BPM. You know, but we have songs like that. But we also have we've grown a bit in a direction where we play strummy acoustic guitars like Tom Petty and with jangly Gretches or Rickenbackers or we still have that four on the floor kind of
Mm-hmm.
sound like an AC/DC kind of Back in Black thing, but or a Highway to Hell. But it's at the end of the day, we just want to make great songs. You know what I mean? And it's if you guys want to compare it, that's cool. You know, I don't know. I won't be offended any.
It's it's fair. I just wanted to throw it out there because these are the questions that have been to me, and like, how do you say, how do the album like into people? To me, it's as special, I guess, as those two. It stands out more to me.
Yeah,
That's
look.
all.
If people are talking about this, that, and the other thing, great. At least they're talking. I had a good friend that's seen a lot of success, and if you stir up the pot and people are talking, you've done your job. You know what I mean? If they're bad or good, if they're talking, you win.
Yeah, like for songs, how are you going to do that?
Yeah, well, they're it's I think Josh's process. Josh is the only always the one that picks that because he's singing. He's
Yeah.
got to find like let's say it depends on where we're at in the
Hmm.
tour. Um, but I think we always have to include the obvious and then work backwards from that. So obviously, Crazy Bitch is going to be in there. Sorry is going to be in there.
Right.
Lit Up's going to be
Lit.
in there. Riding sometimes is in there. It's in there most of the time. Usually the songs that have videos or that have been singles are in the set list. But with a new album, that will take up most of the space. There are crowd favorites like Slammin' that we always try and do. Uh, and then there's, I think just good live songs that Josh, he vibes with the crowd, and that's he's a good gauge on that, and he picks the songs and puts them in between as kind of segues to the ones that are hits. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it changes. We have a stock set that it's like an hour and 15, can last an hour and 30, and and it changes every night, but there's a core set of like 10, 12
Yeah.
songs are always in the set. You
Okay. Are the clubs different now? Are the requirements or shows, venues, are things changing because of COVID
know?
requirements?
We've only been out several times during quarantine, and we did a show. I think the last show, I don't even know when the last show was. But yeah, of course it's going to be different. How can it not be different? Life is different. So they have sign. It depends on where in the country it is. We just played South Dakota, and there were signs everywhere: be socially distant, wear a mask, and no one was doing it. In all fairness, they haven't had to do that all of 2020. They were the one state that had no mandate, no mask
Mhm.
mandates, no social distancing. This morning I was at a gas station, and people are still pumping their gas with masks on. And the president just said, "You don't. If you're outside, you don't have to wear a mask."
Right.
Dude, I don't know. I just, look, I want to be a team player. I want this thing to go away, or at least I want the numbers to go down. Let me do my part. I don't give a shit. Let me go out there and make a living. Let me go play. That's all I
Yeah.
want. So whatever I have to do for my part, I can't change anybody else, but whatever I have to do, I'll do it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And I think I meant more things like with venues because sometimes some places might be a limited capacity and it could change and get like more people could come now. It might open up before you have another date.
Yeah.
It could clear up there and you maybe will have more people there. That's what I
Sure.
mean. Things like that are just change. Like it's got to be.
And hopefully that's the case. I'm looking forward to, uh, just seeing how all of this unfolds. I think we can do this.
I
So
know we can. I'm psyched for you guys.
yeah.
You guys are doing awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll talk to you real soon. Okay.
All right, man. Good luck on the tour.